Just checking in before this episode gets going to say hi to everybody and wish everyone well and that everyone is staying safe and healthy during these trying times. I wanted to let you know that this episode is the second episode that Garth and I ever recorded, way back in December. And so, because it was early on, it's a little rough. We didn't know exactly what we were doing, so there's a little bit of overtalk. But, you know, it kind of makes you wistful and long for those days when you could record with your friend in the same room. Also, this episode was recorded back before we had any of our social media set up, so I want to take this chance to let people know that we're on Twitter, you can follow us on Instagram, and depending on where you're listening to this podcast right now, you can also listen to it in a few different other places, such as Spotify, iTunes, Anchor.fm, our website, and also on our YouTube channel where we have a video version of the show available. So make sure to check those out, like and subscribe them if you will, and also tell your friends about it. And with that, I hope you enjoy.
Through a crooked cellar door, down a spindly staircase, there's cobwebs and black cats galore, a tired cliche haunted thing. And maybe if these walls could talk, they might even have a word or two.
Hello, and welcome to the Least Haunted Podcast, a place where skepticism, science, anthropology, and humor meet to explore all things spectral, haunting, paranormal, and sometimes just the plain stupid. I'm your host, Cody Franks, and joining me this time in the co-host seat at the seance table is...
Garth!
I've already asked you these questions in the past, but if people aren't familiar, let's go through this real quick. Do you believe in the ghosts, or in ghosts, or the paranormal?
In the ghosts? Not really, no. I like to leave a little bit of healthy, skeptical room, or maybe I guess I like to leave a little bit of room to say that I don't really know, because you can't prove a negative, but no, I don't really believe in ghosts.
So then you haven't experienced anything weird?
No. It probably would make it for a better podcast if I did, but...
Well, what about, do you like horror movies?
I do. I like the more psychological ones. Like, I like Silence of the Lambs, but not Saw, maybe?
How about, do you have a favorite local horror movie? You know, like, we got...
I was an extra in The Tripper, but that's a terrible movie. So that's far from my favorite local one. I'm trying to think of, we're in Santa Cruz here.
Yeah, so Santa Cruz, yeah, so
Lost Boys. Lost Boys is the one that comes to mind.
There's Us.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, my favorite part was the boardwalk scene.
Well, there's another one that I'm going to bring up that nobody ever talks about or even thinks about as being a Santa Cruz. Actually, it's Watsonville, but that's close enough. But before we move on from The Tripper, so David Arquette directing, right?
He did, yes. David Arquette directed the Tripper. I got to see him. I was actually in college. This was quite a few years ago, so I couldn't do more than one day of shooting. But I was in a scene in a hippie drum circle in Big Basin. David Arquette was there, and he was directing the actress who was in it, whose name
Jason
I forget.
Mewes was in it.
Jason Mewes was in it. I didn't see him during that. He wasn't filming that day, but Pee Wee Herman was. Paul Rubens. Okay. I did see him. Yeah.
They scouted my house as a location for that. They wanted to use
that would have been amazing. That would have been a good location. You have like a fairy circle with redwood trees and everything.
Well, also they were interested. This is back before we did like a big cleanup, so it was like more junkyard, and so there was all kinds of weird old. Well, there's still. Old
I feel like that. Yeah, that
adds
to the movie. That would have added to the movie.
Yeah, my grandpa though was like really paranoid about having a film crew, you know, walking around.
I mean, I can understand that.
Yeah. So it's like, no. But anyway, the movie that nobody ever talks about is I think it's 1988.
Oh, you have it here. Oh, let's see.
This is Killer Klowns from Outer Space. I am handing Garth the DVD cover.
Oh, wow.
Have you ever heard of this film before?
You know what? It's one of those things that's been sort of in the background where I sort of think I've heard of it, but I couldn't say a thing about it. Wow, this cover. All right, so to those listening, don't try to look it up on your phone while you're driving or anything, but I'll describe it to you in detail. The cover here is a really jolly clown.
Jolly?
A disembodied head of a clown floating in the sky, staring down at these two people with popcorn floating around him. You know what it reminds me of is the scary stories to tell in the dark books.
Oh yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, the just the look of it. This is you know what? I want to see this movie now.
What did the LA Times say about it?
Let's see here. The LA Weekly said, a sinister 3-ring circus of sneaky gore. There's nothing sneaky about this cover. This is very...
The tagline is also that, like, in space, no one eats ice cream.
Oh, no one can hear you scream, no one eats ice cream. Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah.
And yet there's popcorn falling. I'm a little confused as to...
They shoot popcorn guns.
Okay. So this is for kids.
No! Oh, God, no. And even, although something
like
from this was later reused for kids, but that also was not really for kids. The trolls in the movie Ernest Scared Stupid were repurposed clown costumes from Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
I love this because I'm looking at the background of the DVD here, and it's like chock-a-block with special features. They have audio commentary and featurettes and behind the scenes. Way more than I would have expected from, like, when did this come out? 1988?
88, yeah.
This is a pretty... There's a lot of special features for 88.
It's part of the MGM Midnight Movies collection.
Oh, this is the Criterion collection for
bad
movies.
Yeah. Clowns, scary, right?
Yeah. I've never been a big clown fan, but I can understand the freakiness.
You know,
and I really do enjoy the scary clown thing, mixing cute with horror. I think it's pretty fun.
So you don't suffer from cowlrophobia, the fear of clowns.
It's not the fear of cowls. Cowlrophobia.
Cowlrophobia.
Now, that's a strange etymology. Cowlrophobia.
I mean, I guess it's the idea of they aren't covering their face, so maybe that is maybe not just clowns.
The fear of someone who's in disguise. And anonymous.
Something you can't see.
I do not, but I totally get why people would, because I don't know. There's something about clowns like. That is, like, if you'd never heard of if we lived in a society where clowns never existed and someone dressed up like one, it would not be like, people wouldn't laugh and think it was a wonderful idea. They'd be like, what's wrong with this person? Oh, man. That's my opinion on it. So yeah, I think there's immediately when you see someone in clown makeup, it's a little bit like, what are they doing?
Well, you are falling right into my trap, because all this was just a roundabout way of getting to today's topic, which is not clowns from outer space, but actually the great clownening of 2016.
The clownening?
The clownening.
Was this like It?
No, I mean, actually,
I remember It came out a couple years ago.
This is like preceded the remake of It.
Okay. Okay.
I think most of a year, but I will give you some brief, quick facts, and then we're going to get into it real deep. So here's just the surface. In 2016, a rash of clown sightings infectiously spread across the globe. Clowns, usually dressed in an evil or sinister style, like Pennywise the Clown, began making strange appearances in places that one would least likely expect to see a clown. The sightings would eventually extend to all 50 United States, 9 out of 13 Canadian provinces, and 18 countries worldwide.
Wow.
These sightings garnered mass media attention, and if anything, the coverage just seemed to encourage the phenomenon to spread. And this is what we are talking about today. It's the great clownening. They spread out.
All over the world, it seems.
All over the world.
Wow. Yes. Please go on.
Okay. Well, first let's talk about clowns. We already started to briefly talk about clowns, but I want to talk about clowns. Can we talk about the clowns?
Hey, let's talk about clowns.
Okay. So, something like a clown, like this trickster character, has existed for a long time and is like an archetype you find all over the world. But most people probably right now are thinking of the European circus clown tradition, especially if you're in the United States. That's like what we mostly know.
I'm thinking Ringling Brothers. I'm thinking Krusty the Clown.
I mean, in certain parts of the country, maybe the rodeo clown is a little similar thing too. That's kind of the thing. Some of the early things about clowns, or the character of clown in the European tradition, goes back to ancient Greece and Rome. In Rome, they were called fosser, which just means a laborer, and so it's just a stand-in character in their like plays and whatnot. That just like a rustic bumpkin is like the original.
Oh, okay.
although the word clown itself isn't recorded until 1560, and at that point it was cloyne, C-L-O-Y-N-E, or clown, C-L-O-W-N-E.
Clown.
Clown. And that actually comes from the Harlequin. You know the character of the Harlequin?
Oh, I'm thinking, wasn't there a Harlequin in Pinocchio? I feel like it's an Italian thing.
It is an Italian thing.
Not like like the original book Pinocchio. I feel like there were Harlequins.
Yeah. So
maybe.
Harlequin goes to this. It's like an Italian. I can't remember the word for it. It's like the comedy of the arts, I guess is the translation. And it was like a. It was a play or a show people would go to see, and they would have different characters, but there's always a part that kind of like would focus on this character of Harlequin, who is like very much a trickster, a joker, or a jester type character, right?
But not really so much the butt of jokes, but a rabble-rouser.
Yeah. He's like kind of like the conniving, like Puck in A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yeah,
that
okay.
Kind of character. He's kind of like pulling the strings, very clever, but sometimes he actually comes to misfortune because of his cleverness. That was a really popular theater form, and it gets transplanted to England, where it becomes the Harlequinade, which are part of these things they do like called follies, or they do a similar thing. They do these productions where they have several shorter plays of different description, and usually the Harlequinade would be at the very end. And it's because usually the second to last would be some real bummer piece about mortality or something. It's like the late high middle ages.
So they do a bunch of comedy sketches, and then the very end is like an existential morose.
And then they're like, okay, now that everybody's bummed out, let's bring it back to comedy with the Harlequinade. And they would have there were stock characters in the Harlequinade. He became like this character that would have different writers would write adventures for him, and but always involved. You had the Harlequin. You had his love interest, who what was her name?
Harley Quinn.
No.
No,
But it was like a girl that he loves and longs for, and then you have her father, who is Pantaloon, who is like an old curmudgeon who like does not want Harlequin with his daughter.
Okay, so there's that trope. You can
right,
see how that
trope,
you can get a lot of good stories out of that dynamic.
But then Pantaloon actually picks up a henchman, like an early form of a henchman, and that is the character named Clown. So that's where Clown starts coming in as a
the henchman to the father
so,
of the girl who is
Harlequin
in love with Harlequin.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. And wait, so was this like these are all like character types that would be written into plays?
They'd have their own stories, like just like Sherlock Holmes and the Hound of the Baskervilles. It'd be like,
but like every audience member like knew who these characters were, and the other acters would play it, but it was like these archetypes.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so it's the same characters played by different actors in like different. It was like almost like public domain. Like nobody owned these characters, but they were insanely popular. It'd be like if somebody decided to write like. At the time of William Shakespeare, afterwards they're like, no, now it's the adventures of Romeo and Juliet in space. Because Harlequin went to space.
Yeah, and then you can bring back all the characters from Romeo and Juliet who you knew and loved, and now they're in this context.
It's like, oh, they died last time, but not. It's almost like The Simpsons, how every episode resets.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they put these characters in different situations.
Oh, that's fun. That's like the kind of thing we do nowadays. I didn't know that they were doing that sort of storytelling that long ago.
And so... Over time, though, the character of Clown kind of morphs to now be more like what Harlequin used to be, because now Harlequin is a hero. Originally, he started out as like an anti-hero, kind of a troublemaker, and eventually he became like the center of his own stories. He becomes the hero. So now you can't really have your hero doing despicable things. So they then bump up the role of Clown. And one person specifically who's like credited with creating the whole... Basically, he like took over the show. It was this actor named Joseph Grimaldi in England in the early 1800s, and he got the role of Clown, but then like did a complete character redesign, kind of like when they did that Suicide Squad a few years ago.
Oh,
and,
right. Jared Leto as the Joker.
So prior to Grimaldi, Clown in the Harlequinade was in like ragged clothing, and because he's like little more than an indentured servant. Right?
Yeah, kind of back to the laborer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Actually, as I was reading about it, I kept thinking about Waiting for Godot, when that dude shows up with like his manservant on a rope. Have you read that play?
I've seen Waiting for Guffman.
Oh,
but I never saw Waiting for Godot. I know that was a parody of that one.
Yeah. Never mind then.
Okay.
People at home.
It doesn't matter if I didn't hear it. You might get the reference.
Oh, so somebody at home might get it. But
feel free to
finish. So whereas
the
the dude holding the rope would be Pantaloon, and then Clown would be the guy at the end of the rope. But Joseph Grimaldi isn't content with this. He's like, no, I'm a better actor than that, so I am gonna like really make this character something else. So when he gets to premiere his interpretation of the character, he is wearing insanely flamboyant clothes, modeled like an old court jester. So it's got like motley, so it's different colors. It's got diamond shapes on it and little like bullseyes. But what he's done,
lots of familiar things to us.
But what he's done most notably is altered his facial appearance by painting his entire face white, and then 2 giant red triangles on his cheeks underneath his eyes.
Oh wow!
And a big red smiley face.
Oh, so he this guy invented the clown. Like, there are so many parts to this that I recognize.
Well, I mean, as we'll go, I'll get into there are other clown archetypes and other versions of the clown that also he was adapting other things that people were already doing, but like he created the right combination of all the parts to come out.
The synergy.
It came out.
They're all rushed together, and everyone's like, "Oh, this guy's."
And
amazing.
He stole the show.
Must have really pissed off the Harlequin actor.
Well,
because he was a supporting cast member who basically takes over and becomes the beloved favorite.
People are so in love with Grimaldi's that every other production of the Harlequinade switches over, and now everybody's dressing up as Grimaldi.
Wow.
His name was Joseph, and his appearance became so synonymous with a clown that for like the next 40 years actually all the way up until like almost like 1930s in England, a clown was known as a Joey.
Wow.
After Joseph Grimaldi.
Wow, he created a genre.
Yeah, that was his like, character, right? But he actually was, like I said, doing a variation of already existing kind of clown characters or archetypes. Most notably one that's called the White Face. Mm-hmm. And the White Face, he goes all the way back to pre-Harlequinade, another character that's like an Italian stock character. I think it's the Perot. I think it is. He wears all white face with black embellishments on there to mark his like eyes and stuff. It is a very serious character. He is like the straight man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and actually I got excited as I was doing this research because I'm a big fan of the works of Terry Pratchett.
Oh, right, yes.
And in the Discworld series, he has a Fool's Guild that's like a college.
I love all of Discworld is full of guilds, it seems.
Oh, yeah. So you have the Fool's Guild, and the Fool's Guild is led by like the president of the guild or the head of the guild is Dr. Whiteface.
Oh, okay, and that's where that comes from.
And he's a white-faced clown who is very stern, and everybody's like afraid of him because it's like implied that he might be capable of terrible things, because any clown that is willing to wear white is not afraid of actually getting dirty, right?
Oh.
So highly intelligent and calculating.
Oh, interesting.
Right, that's an interesting take on it. Yeah, so it's the idea of a fool's college or a guild for clowns, and that is actually modeled on something in our real world. There is a like clown society, International Clown Society, and a registry of clowns where you paint your clown. If you're gonna become a clown, you like paint your image of your trademarked makeup on an egg, and it's stored in a vault.
No kidding.
Yeah,
and that's the trademark. Does the guild come after you if you like are practicing clowning without a license? Like, is it like are you considered a scab if you're not part of the union of clowns?
I don't know. And I imagine that like the punishments are very bizarre.
They're probably hilarious.
To some, yes. Like I personally don't think a banana peel is that funny because that could kill somebody.
It could, yeah, right? Yeah. Funny to everyone else.
Yeah, except for the person who's slipping. So you have the white-faced clown. He's very serious. He's the top of the clown hierarchy. Like in actual like real world history, there is a hierarchy of clowns, and he's at the top. Which is
so if clowns were to be a suit like in a deck of cards, this would be the king.
Exactly.
Clown.
And that's something that Terry Pratchett was copying when he knew that. Like he did his research and knew that when he made his character of the white-faced clown the top of the hierarchy, because that's actual real clown business.
Who are the other clowns in the hierarchy?
Next comes the August clown. It's also got an E at the end, so I don't know if it's supposed to pronounce Auguste.
Auguste.
Yeah, which is the red-faced clown. So
I've never seen this.
Actually,
must have fallen. Have I?
No, you have.
What is this?
So instead of the base coat being white that they paint stuff onto, they then actually would do red instead. Like Bozo the Clown.
Bozo?
He's a hybrid of Whiteface and the August Clown.
I would need to see a photo. I've heard of Bozo the Clown.
Basically that killer clown guy on the DVD cover.
There's quite a bit of red on his face.
Yeah, the idea of the red nose. That's part of it.
Oh, got it.
You're
okay.
mainly your circus clowns.
I was imagining a clown with completely red face.
Yeah, well, they also will like instead of doing the white paint all over the face, they might do like a skin tone paint. and then build up on top of that. And that character is meant to be very comedic. In fact, for a long time, he was not actually considered a true clown because traditionally with the white-faced clown being the top of the hierarchy, he's pulling strings and making things happen. The red-faced clown typically is the butt of the joke. Is usually the one that'll get like their pants pulled down and everybody laughs at them. Is the real buffoon, and so
the Morty to the Rick of the
so like the traditionalists would be like, well, that's not a real clown. They all start to blend together at this point. All the face paint starts to meld together, and then you get the third group, which is the character clown. Now this one is not necessarily in clown makeup, but think Charlie Chaplin, Harold Lloyd, all those early silent film stars.
Oh, interesting.
It's where
would Harpo count?
Maybe. So the thing is, you have the clown. But now it's like they're still a clownish character, but they're usually in a different profession or doing something different. So like it's so this time Charlie Chaplin, I mean, he's always the tramp,
right? But he was often doing different jobs, would take on different roles.
And do different things, and then the shenanigans would follow. Maybe the Three Stooges. Actually, you know what? The Three Stooges.
Yeah, because they were often carpenters, and then they were.
I just realized that they are the three types of clown.
Okay, all right. So based on what you said, let me see if I can get it. So Mo, the guy with the bowl haircut, that would be the top clown because he was the leader.
Yeah.
So he'd be the white-faced king clown. And then, let's see, Curly was the bald one, and then... Wait,
Larry was
the one with the frizzy hair.
Larry has like the actual like traditional clown haircut where he's bald on top. It has like a
That's
big
true. He
hair
does.
sticking up.
He has. I'm developing that myself actually. Yeah.
Oh yeah, me too.
But yeah, like the Krusty the Clown with the sides.
And then,
so Larry would be the second, and then Curly would be the bottom, or vice versa.
Curly or Shemp, depending on which era of Three Stooges.
Am I getting it? Okay.
Oh no,
I don't know. I don't know my Three Stooges.
No, the last guy, there was a shuffle that happened. Like, yeah, he's just the bottom of the clown totem pole and is probably the one that's being forced to do most of the manual labor. Clowns, throughout the 19th century, the 1800s, kind of morphed into like closer to what we know today. There's also, they get associated with the circus actually all the way back in the 1700s. I kind of overlooked that. There's a guy in England who started what he called a riding school, Philip Ashley's riding school, and he would do these stage productions with people doing tricks on horseback. He'd have animals doing things, acrobats. He also is credited with being the first person to put it all in a ring.
So this is the first circuses in the
Pretty
1700s?
Much. Yeah, it's like in the 1700s. Okay. And then in like around 1800, he adds a clown.
Was this in England or?
In England, yeah.
Oh,
London.
okay.
It was like how people would go to like P.T. Barnum had a museum, you know.
So this is the traveling circus. People would come to them.
Yes.
So probably
but then the show goes on the road. And again, as we already seen at that time, lots of copycats. Still today, too. Mm-hmm. You know, one person does, one network does a baking show. Now they're all doing baking shows.
Yeah, this is the new entertainment. This is the hot new entertainment for 1720.
Also, that just reminded me, a whole part of clowndom that we weren't really addressing is the jester, the court jester.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I feel like I fell down a rabbit hole of jester research one evening and looked up the history of that. That is fascinating.
Well, for me, I had this realization the other day that the jester is just the, almost like the Siri or the Pandora of its time. Because
how so?
It's, okay, so here we are with all of our podcasts and our YouTube videos and entertainment on our computer. That's how we get our media, right? Mm-hmm. Go back a generation, it's all TV, right? That people brought into their home for entertainment. Before that, it's the radio.
Right.
Then you have, like, books.
Yeah, and I guess newspapers or,
right.
But entertainment.
But if you go far enough back when not everybody was educated enough to read, but you still were in, like, a wealthy household, you just hired a dude to live in your house and make you laugh and entertain you all the time. Because the jester didn't only, like, make jokes, but they were expected to be, like, pretty educated and have a whole repertory of, like, stories that they knew.
Wow, no, I'm kidding.
They'd be, like, politically with it enough to, like, make puns and stuff, like, be topical. It's like having
like a John Oliver.
But
or something.
But he lives in your house. It is totally at your mercy because you're his patron.
And at any moment, day or night, you can ring the little jester bell, and he'll have to come in and be ready with new material for you.
Real quick, also buffoon. We call people like a buffoon.
Yeah.
That is actually traced back to the word is related to like a bladder of air.
A buffoon.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of onomatopoetic.
Almost like a fart.
Yeah,
right?
buffoon.
But early jesters, some jesters would actually carry around an inflated bladder on a stick and hit people with it for like comedic effect.
The early reincarnation of a whoopee cushion.
So long, whoopee cushion.
So, clowns developing through time. We get to, let's jump to like the 1950s in television. And that's when you get Bozo the Clown.
Introducing Bozo, the world's most famous clown.
Bozo the Clown.
Bozo the Clown is I think he starts out as like a local TV personality, then it becomes syndicated and spreads all over and becomes like the #1 children's show. It becomes a phenomenon. He gets copycats too.
Was this in some ways like the first children's show? Because I mean, we saw a lot. Like we saw Barney, we saw Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, like Bozo the Clown and like Howdy Doody in the 50s.
Okay, yeah, there's Howdy Doody as well.
And then later Captain Kangaroo.
I'm glad you made it here to the Bozo Big Top today.
Mm-hmm.
But Bozo, incredibly popular. In fact, I apologize for not doing my due diligence in this and not researching the name of this person, but I just remembered it, that where Matt Groening grew up, there was a local television version of their own Bozo the Clown.
And that's probably the beginning of Krusty.
And that's where Krusty comes from.
Hello, Alphonse. I've got a riddle for you. Why is a raven like a writing desk? I don't know. Why is a...
And that's probably the beginning of Krusty.
And that's where Krusty comes from. It's his remembrance of this copycat of Bozo in, like, was he Eugene, Oregon, where he grew up?
He grew up somewhere in Oregon. I forget where. Whenever we'd watch The Simpsons, whenever I would watch it as a kid with my mom, she loved Krusty because he reminded her of some clown from when she was a kid, and I think it was probably Bozo.
Hey, that dummy can't hurt you. He's not even alive. He's dead.
Bozo becomes so popular that it leads to kids wanting their own Bozo at their birthday parties.
Oh, that's how that happened.
And then you get the birthday clown.
Have you ever had a birthday clown?
Oh, hell no! God,
no, not for your party. Have you ever been to someone's party with a birthday clown?
Geez.
I'm trying to think if I ever have, and
I don't know if I have or not.
I think I did once, and I think I was a little freaked out by him. I don't think I
remember going to a party that had a birthday magician. Not a.
I think that did happen to me once. Maybe I blocked it out as a trauma of some kind.
Well, I think that they kind of fell out of fashion. By the time we were kids, they were not really a thing anymore, other than like pop culture references and jokes. And part of that is because of the negative connotation clowns get from one very famous birthday clown. We're talking about Pogo the Clown. We're talking John Wayne Gacy.
The serial killer?
Yes.
He was a birthday clown?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I'm sure I must have known this. I guess I've never really gotten as into serial killer trivia as a lot of people I know, but how did I miss that?
It's like one of the main things about him.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Besides like a failed political career, but he would he had a character.
That guy was a Renaissance man.
Oh yeah,
he was a politician.
And whether or not he actually was in this clown makeup when he killed people, he might have once or twice. I don't know his whole thing, but
wow,
I
sounds
do know
like
that,
a complex fella.
And that kind of starts inspiring this idea of an evil clown, which eventually leads to Pennywise in It.
Okay, yeah, because that was originally Tim Curry in the 80s. Am I right? It was Stephen King.
Stephen King wrote the book, and then in 1990 there was a miniseries with Tim Curry as Pennywise the Clown, and oh man, so that miniseries when it ran, they did it in like weird reruns for a couple of years. Late at night, you could still like catch reruns of it, and I remember one year, I think my brother was 3, so that would make me about 7. Couldn't sleep, and
let's watch TV.
Woke my dad up saying, "Hey, we can't sleep," and so he's like, "Well, I'll turn the TV on for you guys and let that lull you back to sleep." So he turns on the TV, he flips through the channels until he finds kids wearing clothing from the 1950s. That's wholesome. How could that ever be? You know,
yeah. I mean, I'm just to give your dad. I wouldn't judge him too harshly. It is the middle of the night. He was probably bleary-eyed and wanted to go back to sleep.
Yeah, and just thinks that's safe.
So this was it, and then you watched it when you were 7.
Yeah, it's 2 kids in a bedroom dressed in 1950s clothing.
Do they float?
Oh, yes.
He leaves the room.
They, oh,
Less than 5 minutes later, everything's floating down here.
when you're down here with me, you float down!
And me and my brother are losing our minds.
He should have just waited a little longer.
Oh God, no! Terrifying. Yeah. So
There's
Pennywise.
things you can't unsee from when you were 7 years old.
Yeah. But now going back and looking at it, I think it's hilarious.
I've actually, honestly, I've never seen the
Oh.
original Tim Curry one.
He plays it.
I should. I like Tim Curry.
No, he is just really leading into this idea of this like ridiculously.
He can.
It's really funny,
he can
and
chew out
then
his-
but then
for
it
sure.
makes like other people's reactions in their horror to this clown kind of like incongruous because you're like, dude,
He's having too much fun to be that scary. Is
exactly.
that- oh, okay.
Yeah. Like there, you can find online. It was a meme for a while, like a loop of him laughing in a library, and he's just like, aha.
Excuse me, sir. Do you have Prince Albert in a can? You do? Well, you better let the poor guy out.
And then it cuts to like John Ritter like
Being horrified.
yeah, terrified as like Tim Curry is laughing up in a balcony, and so that was not a quick actually, that was a pretty long tangent about the history of clowns.
Well, it sounds like it leads right into the clownening to me.
Yeah, so the clownening, as I mentioned, it became this worldwide event of people dressing up as clowns and menacing people. How did it start? Well, it starts arguably in 2013 in Northampton, United Kingdom, when a person dressed as a creepy clown starts showing up around town, and it turns out it's just a viral stunt. You know, somebody,
To get publicity for a toothpaste or something.
I think it's just somebody being a chucklehead. And then in 2014, an Italian YouTuber named Matteo Moroni, he dresses up as an evil clown, and he has a YouTube channel where he jumps out and scares people dressed as an evil clown. That's in 2014. So there used to be a guy that would like wear garbage bags and like lay on street corners, and people would think it was garbage, and he would jump out and attack people and scare them.
I feel like I've seen a lot of things like that.
Right? Yeah, that was kind of
online.
like early YouTube. So he just took
Okay.
the next step, like, oh well, I'll put in a clown. Kind of fitting that it comes back to Italy because like.
Oh yeah,
clown
the
comes-
original
Harlequin,
clown.
yeah, right back to Italy. Also in 2014, in the town of Wasco, here in California, that's like South Central Valley, Wasco.
Oh yeah.
There was a wascally fella running around in Wasco. That was called the Wasco Clown. He was hanging out in cemeteries and under bridges. And then in Illinois, in 2015, there was a clown spotted hanging out in a cemetery at night as well. Then, so now we're gonna...
When you hear things like that, it's like the clown spotted at night in the cemetery. Did he call somebody to be spotted?
Oh, no, you got ghost hunters hanging out in the cemetery at night.
Yeah,
They're just as at fault as the clown is. I'm sure.
I was going to say, a lot of these sound like publicity stunts.
Both
to
of them
me.
are trespassing, that's for sure.
Mm.
Then in August of 2016, so now we're getting closer to the main event, there's a few photos of a creepy clown that start getting posted around on Facebook. That clown is given the name in the comments as Gags. That's just the name that supposedly arises from people viewing these. Like the internet comes up with the name Gags for him. That eventually turns out to be a viral stunt for a filmmaker in Wisconsin who was making a movie that was finally released in 2019. The movie called Gags the Clown, about a serial killer clown.
Oh, okay. Was he doing footage for it, or
he was already like filming it and trying to like get, I think, backers to help him make a movie. So
got
he
it.
staged these photos of this creepy clown under overpasses and menacing, just standing around being weird. But that starts something on the internet. People start like, oh,
people, if it hits the right people and tweaks the culture a certain way, it'll just keep going.
yeah, because Gags goes viral. He becomes like the subject of creepy pastas and stuff on the internet. And then,
there's looping gifs of him that people are
yeah,
using
and
for
as it
other
is,
things.
as it were, Gags, he opened the door on the tiny little clown car of horror. And then it's just, now that the door's open, people just start copycatting all over the place.
Not unlike the original clown.
Exactly.
Getting popularized, and then
Yeah, and then
everybody else is
copycatting.
doing their version.
Exactly.
It's so interesting.
It's almost
these
like
things going over and over again.
Yeah, it's almost like the idea of the clown itself might be some kind of eldritch abomination seeping into our consciousness.
Yeah,
it
seems like it keeps coming back in this strange way that hits us in just these emotional ways that it's just very popular.
You're like, all right, it's time to go crazy.
Yeah, it's clown time. Every few hundred years, we need a clown renaissance.
So by October, it starts spreading more, and it starts getting media coverage, and that the more that they put it on TV and people talking about it, more copycats.
Of course.
By October 12th, law enforcement and world governments are now compelled to like weigh in on the issue.
How did I miss this?
I don't know.
Wow.
But on October 12th of 2016, the Russian embassy in London issues a clown warning, saying that anybody dressed like a clown approaching the embassy will be treated as a hostile.
You know what? This was like a couple months before the election. I think everything was just being crazy right then. Because now that I think about it, this would have been right before
People
the presidential
were looking for
election.
just a reason to go nuts.
Yeah. That was a strange time.
The next day on October 13th, the Fijian police in Fiji warned civilians to please don't dress up like clowns for their own safety. And
were they afraid they'd get attacked? Don't dress up as a clown for your own safety.
Well, I think for everyone's safety, because now it's becoming like this mass panic. In fact, did you wonder where Ronald McDonald went? Notice how he like disappeared?
Did he? I guess I haven't seen him in a while.
Where'd
Let me think
Ronald
about
go?
this.
And it'd be easy to think it's just about our health-conscious culture trying to like dissuade children from eating these Happy Meals, but
Right, because that was geared towards kids,
Right.
of course. But I haven't seen Ronald McDonald in a couple of
yeah, you know when he disappeared?
years.
Conveniently, the end of 2016 during the Clownening.
No kidding.
Because
Wow.
this clown clowndemic.
Clowndemic. Well put. Yeah.
It gets even crazier. So the World Clown Association comes out against the viral pranks. In certain places, clown costume sales go up, while other like big name brand stores announce officially they will not carry anything clown related.
Wow,
No clown
it's
costumes.
that touchy of a thing. Wow.
Yeah, they're trying to like, we're going to lock this down. No one can have clown costumes.
Oh my.
And then sometime around mid-October, there starts getting reported in the media a fear of a clown purge. Like the movie,
The Purge.
Yeah, they're actually afraid there's going to be some kind of event they think that all this is building up to something, most likely Halloween night. Something's going to happen on Halloween involving clowns. In Florida, there's news reports of trick-or-treating parents carrying guns because they're going to shoot clowns to defend their children.
That sounds like Florida. Yeah.
Well, you'd think they're just being crazy, except at the same time in Florida, a family was actually attacked and pulled from their vehicle by a mob of 20 clowns. Who,
what?
One person in the
mob of clowns.
One person in the
attacked a
crowd
family?
was stabbed. Another was beaten with a hockey stick.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
No kidding.
How bad did it get? I'm gonna run through here a random assortment from the pinata of goodies that is the Clownening of 2016. Here,
your metaphors are really brightening up this horrifying story.
Yes. Yeah. No real order, and just kind of jumping around the globe. Here we go. On October 6th, a group of clowns posted an Instagram video, like some sort of clown ISIS or Pisces, in which they claim, quote, "We are coming to London, Ontario's high schools and surrounding areas. We are going to kidnap students and behead teachers. We're not clowning around." A few days later, they attack. They actually start, they start showing up, and the police are called out to like patrol.
This sounds organized.
The school district bans clown costumes for Halloween as a reactionary measure. Then, in Croatia, a man in a clown costume is beaten severely by a crowd of teenagers. Just whether or not he was a creepy clown or just an actual legitimate clown on his way to a birthday party, dude is beaten severely.
This is a good clown, possibly
Maybe.
caught in the crossfire of clown phobia.
There's good clowns on both sides.
God, no.
There's
good clowns on both sides, I'm sure. They love their families too.
Oh my god, I just realized.
What?
Trump is totally the August clown. Right down to the pink face makeup.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wait, who? Alright, so if Trump is the August clown, who is the superior white clown that's pulling this? Oh yeah, duh.
Duh.
I thought you were going to say Pence, and I was going to be like, well...
Oh, the white hair.
Yeah.
But I think
If it was a Cheney Bush situation, I would
Pence.
say
I think
so.
anything clown related is too flamboyant for Pence's.
Yeah,
comfort.
he's a little bit
Yeah, I
too
don't think he
milquetoast
likes
for
clowns.
that.
Yeah, he's like. But back to the onslaught of the clowns. In Germany, on October 15th, a gun-wielding clown is seen running around the streets of Wessel. On the 25th, also in Germany, a 13-year-old, dressed as a scary clown, is stabbed by a 14-year-old in Berlin.
Oh, jeez.
So that's a prank gone wrong. In Singapore, on the 29th, a clown is arrested making scare videos. This is actually one of the only cases of clown-related activity in Asia. Asia just did not get on the
Interesting.
clown
I wonder.
wagon.
Well, it sounds like a lot of this meme is spreading probably very much through the internet. So I can imagine a lot of European countries kind of consuming the same media, and maybe also the U.S.
And I think also that these are a lot of these are European influenced countries with a history of European culture, so they have this like maybe the same kind of clown tradition.
Oh, that would make
Maybe?
sense because you would need enough of the tradition, otherwise it would just seem like a foreign weird dress up thing.
Yeah. Then,
that's very fascinating. Okay.
Now getting a little more disturbing on October 1st.
A little more disturbing? All right.
This one's pretty bad. In Kentucky, on October 1st, a woman who was walking on a trail at night is attacked by a clown who attempted to drag her off in the woods.
Oh,
For
no.
unknown nefarious purposes. She was able to escape. And then on the 5th of October in California, a clown actually attempts to steal a baby from its mother's arms. And many, many more.
Wow. What, I guess I'm trying to think of what would account for all of this, and I guess it makes sense that there's an anonymity when you dress up, so like that.
Yeah.
So somebody who would want to do something like that would
Would be already prone to doing that. Just
possibly, and
looking for an
then maybe they see the clown thing as like a weird subversive thing to scare people more. I don't know.
Well, suddenly they all just kind of stopped. It seems like Halloween happened without the clown purge. Or that was just the purge of it from our consciousness. And then it just kind of dwindles. I think occasionally that still pops up from time to time, a clown, but it's not anywhere near as widespread.
How long did this whole clowning last? It sounds like just a few months.
August 2016 through like the end of October.
Wow, like 2 months.
Yeah.
Of just this little freak out. Wow.
Yeah. However,
it almost has a flavor of a mass hysteria kind of a thing. I guess some memes are sort of like this, but that's very fascinating.
And we could just chalk it up to one of those weird things. If this wasn't the first time something like this had happened in the world.
Oh, has this happened before?
Something similar, and we're going to talk about that after our ad break.
Ad break?
Yes.
Oh boy, are there products and services that we might be interested in? Boy.
But it wasn't clowns.
Oh, okay. So wait, then
It's
how
not-
was it like the clowning if it wasn't clowns?
If it wasn't, say it wasn't clowns, but instead it was ghosts. People dressing up as ghosts.
And just attacking strangers
hell
on
yeah.
the street?
Oh, yes.
In like bed sheets?
Amongst many, many other things. But also, we got to travel through time for this one. We're going to go way back. Get in my strange, creepy carousel.
Oh, the backwards carousel of time.
Yes,
There you go.
yes, right
all right.
backwards.
So
Okay.
let's all get on the backwards carousel of time machine.
And-
Wait, this is a work in progress,
Yeah.
guys. We're coming up with this off the top of our head.
Yeah.
What year are we going to, Cody?
1882.
1882.
And we're also traveling through space to Victoria in southeast Australia.
Oh.
Yes, in the year 1882, a strangely dressed man, I'm not going to call him a gentleman, because screw this guy, he's not a gentleman, he starts showing up to random people dressed very peculiarly. Yeah, right?
I thought I could say it. Hold on. Peculiarly.
There we go.
That's harder to say than you think.
So anyway, he shows up, he's wearing a white sugarloaf hat. Do you know what a sugarloaf hat is?
Is it white?
Well, this is white, yes.
Oh, okay, I don't know what a sugarloaf
So
hat
a
is.
sugarloaf hat is a slightly conical hat. It's called that because there was a time when people would get lumps of sugar that were processed into cone shapes, like a little sugar loaf.
Oh, okay.
That's why there's a lot of mountains around.
Did the man who helped out Curious George have a sugarloaf hat? I feel like that drawing.
Maybe
it was
that
a
kind
pointy,
of.
Is it like a witch's hat? Like
Kind of like a witch's hat, but with a
got it.
rounded top.
Okay.
It was a big fashionable thing in like the 1500s, almost like a Puritan hat.
Got it. Okay.
Right?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
can picture that. Yeah.
So that's a sugarloaf hat. He's also wearing robes. He shows up, he jumps out at people, screams at them, and then throws rocks and other projectiles at them.
Oh, boy.
They start calling him the Wizard Bombardier.
Because he's bombing
Yeah,
them,
and he's dressed like a goddamn wizard. And he jumps out and throws things. In fact, I think he might possibly be a time-traveling LARPer.
Lightning bolt! Lightning bolt! Lightning bolt!
But then enough people, I guess, either hear about the Bombardier or are intrigued by it because it becomes a thing where now there's copycats. Other people start dressing up, not in the Sugarloaf wizard hat, but in other weird assortments of things, all claiming to be supernatural, like bed sheets. At this time, phosphorescent paint was like a new thing. They just
available. So probably very exciting.
One of them was
theatrical.
It got very theatrical. There was one that was a knight complete in a full suit of armor painted with phosphorescent paint.
This is all in Australia.
Australia.
Okay.
And on his shield, he has written the words like "Prepare to die, mortals."
Wow.
And he just like stalks the street.
This actually is very much like the Clownening. Yeah,
right?
You're right.
However, at the time, a lot of people just chalk it up to what they call a larrikin. And a larrikin was just a term that was used for a young person with disdain for authority. So it's like a delinquent, like a boys will be boys kind of thing. Like, oh, those boys.
Oh, those boys. You know what the kids are doing these days? Dressing up like knights with phosphorescent paint and throwing rocks at people.
Right? They would create whole characters. Like, you had the knight, you had the wizard bombardier. Some places they would actually like show up in places, in locations that already had an existing folklore around it as being haunted.
Oh, yeah, I can see that happening.
They were Scooby-Dooing everybody. This is like weaponized, memed Scooby-Dooing.
Well, and you know, it just occurred to me thinking about it now, it's pretty funny, but they are throwing rocks at people and probably taking advantage of a much more common, people back then were more superstitious.
Well, also, they're already on edge because you have, like, highwaymen is still, like, a thing. Like, you know, in 1800 Australia, you have, like, folk characters like Ned Kelly and actual, like, just like maybe the Wild West, you know. But imagine if when Billy the Kid shows up,
he's dressed up in the...
He's wearing, actually, in certain
places, what would be the Wild West equivalent of the Clownening?
I was going to say, wearing a bed sheet over his head, but actually that was happening in parts of the country.
Ooh, yeah, let's not go there. That's a different kind of...
Yeah, that's haunting in its own way.
Yes.
There was one that actually, just like with the Clownening, though, this does get even more violent than just, throwing rocks at people. There was one guy who was captured. And later, he wore a top hat, fur coat, and he walked over to the Cat of Nine Tails. You know what Cat of Nine Tails is?
Oh, yeah. That's
a whip?
Pirates used to whip people with them.
And he targeted specifically women and would, like, whip them in the streets, like, violently. They put a bounty out on him, and then he, like, sent a letter to the paper, like Jack the Ripper or like a Zodiac killer, where he threatened to kill any police who came after him.
Whoa.
And when they captured him, it turned out that he was Herbert Patrick McLennan, who was a notable figure in the local society, member of high society.
Wow, and he was moonlighting as a as an attacker.
And he was able to use his influence as a clerk to he was an influential law clerk, and he was able to use his influence and connections to get out of jail. So he escaped punishment.
No kidding.
But then this leads to vigilante ghost hunters.
Of course, because when you have that much corruption, you're going to have... Wow.
It's like the opposite... Wait, it'd be like if instead of the Joker being a reaction to Batman, if Batman was a reaction to the Joker.
Oh, yeah.
Sense,
yep,
right?
that does make sense. Yeah, that's exactly what this sounds
like.
So
now you get your own cast of crazy characters who are out there now hunting ghosts.
Do they dress up too?
I don't know. But
probably not. I'm sure this is taken much more seriously back then than we are now.
It could have been like, the Ghostbusters, right?
Yeah, right.
Photon packs, except it's like a gun, actual gun. Or I like to think of those ghost hunter shows that are on TV now, where they have all their crazy equipment.
Oh, yeah, they have
electromagnetic readers and stuff.
Right.
But instead of like they rolled in and they're like, no, we've got like shop vac and a shotgun, and we're gonna clear this house of ghosts. We're the ghost hunters.
That's all you need, a shop vac and a shotgun.
And so these ghost hoaxers, as they're they get called, it's the ghost hoaxes. They range from very benign juvenile pranks all the way to actual physical assault, and I think I was seeing accounts of a few actual sexual assaults.
Oh.
And it seems like with the Clownening, it could have gone that way too. That poor lady in Kentucky getting dragged into the woods. Who knows where that could have gone, right?
Well, and it seems a lot of these sound like people being sort of certainly antisocial and violent, but not really horrible. But then there's enough copycats that you will get the really depraved people.
Yeah, it's just
when there is enough people doing it, you're gonna have some outliers that are like truly violent.
Yeah, for every 10,000 birthday clowns, you have a John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah,
right.
Just playing the odds.
But like, why was this going on? At this point, it was still the Victorian era, and there was this obsession with death. Right, that was like
everybody was doing seances.
Yeah, well, there was spiritualism was a big thing, and we'll do an episode on spiritualism.
Oh, that'd be great.
Queen Victoria was like famously in mourning for Prince Albert for like 40 years, last 40 years of her life.
I remember seeing photos of her. She was always wearing black.
Yeah, and at the time the tradition was that if you were in mourning, you wore black for an appropriate amount of time before moving on to gray clothing, and then eventually you can move back to regular colored clothing. She just like never left mourning. And she was a big trendsetter because from her is also where we get wearing white as a wedding dress. And like whatever she did, the populace would copy. And,
not unlike Kennedy stopped wearing a hat, and nobody really wore hats after that.
The wedding ring tradition really caught on when a lot of these were like some of these were German traditions that because Prince Albert was German, so he brought a lot of German things in. Just like most of our ideas about Christmas, like Christmas trees and stuff.
Oh, those are all German, huh?
Were kind of brought in, and they started doing them in the palace, and then it spread to everywhere else.
Oh, so, interesting.
What the Queen does, everybody's into. So when she's all like obsessed about death, everybody's obsessed.
That's why because when you think about Victorian society, that's a big component.
Yeah, and then it ripples out. It goes beyond just the British Commonwealth countries, like even into the United States. Late 1800s is also very focused on death time. In a lot of places, the town cemetery was the town park. You wouldn't have a separate park. People would go and spend a Sunday afternoon having a picnic in the cemetery.
There's something kind of like that.
I do like that.
Yeah, that's sort of giving death a more positive spin that you embrace and you don't just put away.
So yeah, it seems like this obsession with death becomes kind of like ironic mocking of death. Like we're going to take these images of death things and make a joke out of it. But that would be like if it only lasted a short time, that might be part of the explanation. How long do you think these ghost hoaxes lasted in Australia?
Well, let's see. I mean, if it's anything like the Clownening, it would just be a few months, like a year. I don't know.
Well, that dude, Patrick McLennan, who was whipping people and got caught, that was 1904. This started in 1882. The last
20 years?
And then when the last ghost hoaxers didn't stop doing what they were doing until like 1917.
Now this sounds like a whole other thing. That's a whole generation.
It seems that maybe the idea of once World War I happened and like everybody was really confronted with the actual horrors of grisly death, and a large number of young Australian men were shipped off to the war and died in the trenches.
That would be enough to
kind of knock that
little cultural thing out.
Yeah, it's like, hey, we're going to stop that.
Wow.
Also, I forgot to mention that at the time that the ghost hoaxers and that wizard bombardier first showed up, there wasn't like a centralized police force in Australia.
Just like this was the early days, just post it being a prison colony, right?
I think it's
or maybe 100 years, 200 years after that.
Yeah.
But they didn't have a centralized police force, so it's still pretty Wild Westy.
Exactly, just like our Wild West.
Yeah.
Again, the idea that like if somebody was doing that in like Tombstone, the OK Corral, and someone's like wearing a pointed wizard's hat, and Doc Holliday walks up with a big red clown nose, like what? Just ridiculous. So that thing resolved itself, and that's something I'm sure there's a lot of other things around the world and throughout history that are these brief little flare-ups. Like one year was flash mobs, and then it was attacking clowns.
It's funny seeing social trends like that and everybody jumping on board, and suddenly we're all pouring ice water on ourselves.
Right. Well, I mean, at least
okay. I guess these are a little for the ice bucket challenge.
Say what you want about the ice bucket challenge, dude. At least it's an ethos.
Yeah, right.
The clown people seem to be just wanting. They're nihilists, dude.
They believe in nothing.
Some people just want to watch the world burn. Which brings us like the Joker. We mentioned him briefly.
That's right.
But we kind of like completely ignored the Joker.
Now the Joker
of Batman
has been around since at least the 60s, because I remember there was
I think the first time Batman encountered the Joker was like the 1940s, late 40s.
Oh, so the Joker was an original bad guy in the comics before the 60s
because like
Batman.
Bob Kane created Batman in like early 40s. And then, I think the Joker shows up like 47, but he's a different character. Like, he just changed. Just like the real clowns of history, the Joker character keeps changing to match the times.
The Joker I grew up with was Mark Hamill's Joker in the animated series in the 90s.
He is my benchmark. That is my Joker.
Yeah.
Picard's my captain, David Tennant's my doctor, and Mark Hamill is the Joker.
It easily places you as a 90s kid. Yeah, I have to agree with you on all those.
Yeah, right?
Yep, absolutely.
But yeah, maybe and now we just had that movie Joker, which I haven't seen.
Yeah, I'd really like to see that. That's on my list. I heard it was good. One thing, I don't even know if it's worth talking about because I haven't actually seen the movie Joker, but I remember hearing that it was controversial and that it depicted... the Joker, Joaquin Phoenix, shooting people kind of indiscriminately. Uh-huh. And, I mean, we've seen that in Bad Guys Forever, but I guess with all of the recent, we've had pretty regular shootings in this country for quite a long time. And
even when, The Dark Knight came
remember
out.
that kid shot up that theater?
With his hair dyed orange, kind of like a Joker character.
Yeah, and I don't know whether the media played up he thinks he's the Joker or whether that was actually him, but it does say something about copycats. I mean, this guy's copying a fictional character, but you can see there's something very appealing to, I guess, people who want to commit violence of putting that weird, goofy twist on it. So there was one other thing I was thinking about when it comes to, clowns and all of the sights and sounds and everything I think of when I think of clowns. And what about the song, the
Homer, are you thinking of Clown College?
That's it. You people have stood in my way long enough. I'm going to Clown College.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that the clown song, the circus song, is actually called "The Entrance of the Gladiators."
That's pretty heavy.
Yeah,
I thought it would be like tripping along in the tall grass on a sunny day with butterflies. No, it's called "Entrance of the Gladiators."
It's by a Czech composer. It's actually a military march. Right? Yeah. Behold our mighty military might.
I try to think of a way you could play that with the right instruments and the right cadence to sound badass.
Now I imagine it. Anytime the circus comes to town and they're marching, the parade's going down the street. That's an enemy army coming to invade your town. Yeah, but it is supposed to represent gladiators entering the Colosseum, preparing for battle. And
Times changed. Things that we used to be intimidating just aren't anymore, or I don't know.
It's by a Czech composer. Okay. And from the 1800s.
So how did that turn into the clown song?
Apparently, it got around the time of the early 1900s. Somehow it just became a popular thing to play at circuses.
There you go.
And used to introduce clowns. I guess
How the mighty have fallen.
Yeah, from gladiators and military might.
You can never go back the other way. Once it's associated with clowns, you can't. We couldn't bring that back into a military procession nowadays and not have everybody laugh. I guess it goes one direction. Things get goofier over time.
But the clowns went creepy. They were goofy, and then you can make goofy things creepy.
That's true. Maybe there's some way to get that do back and make it an imperial march of some kind.
That might be a missing piece of this whole clown puzzle, is that it's why clowns, and it's taking things that should put people at ease and be jolly and funny and making it not funny. It's part of that whole post-millennium ironic thing.
And I think anything that subverts expectations and is like a weird twist on something that you always saw as a positive connotation can really hit you hard. Yeah. So it makes sense.
A visceral reaction. Like the false premise.
Exactly, yeah.
Clowns.
Gotta love them.
Gotta love them.
You know what? A shout out to everybody out there who is a clown and does it to bring joy to people. Because you're living in probably one of the worst times for clowns. Anybody who's still out there trying to make a good name for clowns, you've got an uphill battle, and good on you.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be.
I wish you luck.
It's gonna be mostly sad clowns, sad crying clowns. Have you seen that
paintings of sad crying clowns on velvet?
Yes, or if you're a fan of Rocko's Modern Life,
a sad crying clown in an iron lung. I've always wanted one.
See, for some reason we find harming clowns really hilarious too.
That is strange. I think that it seems like our whole society has not quite dealt with how we feel about clowns.
I think
we keep changing our minds. It's like there's all these unanswered subconscious problems, like the stress.
At one time, they were the height of popular entertainment. Everybody wanted a clown.
They were the pick the funniest, most popular comedian nowadays, and that's that. That was a clown.
I'm just thinking about Adam Sandler and Billy Madison. He has a birthday clown. Are you familiar with this movie?
I saw it years ago.
Okay, so we got this clown, and I think he's on stilts. He's walking around, and somehow he stumbles and he falls and hits his head, and everybody just points and laughs, right? And then it moves on. But then, like, 20 minutes later in the movie, it's revealed that clown is still on the ground, like in a coma or something, and they've just been stepping over him and ignoring him because he pops up in a musical number. And I actually,
that's funny.
I actually remember exactly what he says when he pops up.
What does he say, Cody?
He goes,
"Hey, kids, it's me. I bet you thought that I was dead. But when I fell over, I just broke my leg and got a hemorrhage in my head."
His blood's pouring out of his nose. So with that awful clown impression, I think we're going to end it for reals this time.
Honk honk. All right. See y'all next time.
Next time.
Least
Haunted.
Yes, we'll all see you next time around. Have a good rest of your day, all you clowns out there.
Keep clowning around.
Keep clowning. Keep honking. Get into your tiny car. We don't know how to end a podcast.
Thanks for listening.
I said, all right, I'll go, but let me just make one thing clear. Don't send in the clowns. Don't send in the clowns. Don't send in the clowns. They always bring me